All right, let's go into the pop culture. We'll talk about The Circle on Netflix, the reality show based on social media competition. Very unusual concept. And now covering season 2 on the podcast here. Last year, I did season 1 with our good friend Steve Culso from Barstool Sports. So glad you're stepping into Steve's shoes here for season 2.
Yes, very humbly so. I feel like I can't, fill his shoes, but I can just partially be there.
Yeah, so for the uninitiated, if you've not watched this show yet, either season on Netflix, let's go a little summary of what's going on here. So basically, this is, as I call it with Steve at the time, this is social distancing before it was cool. So basically, if you're on The Circle, live in an apartment, live in a building with about at times 7 or 8, 9 other people. You don't see each other physically. You can only interact over social media through a profile on this app called The Circle. You can either be yourself or you can pretend to be someone else because the goal is to gain influence and gain friends. And whoever's most popular at the end of the game wins $100,000. How do you think I did some of this up?
That is literally to T what this is all about.
Yeah. And I watched season 1 last year. I watched season 2. You sort of binged. You went through season 1, season 2 real quick. What do you think the big difference is between year 1 and year 2?
I feel like the players, since they've seen season 1, they know how to play the game. So I feel like season 1 was just like dipping the toes into the waters of everything, and season 2 is like full-fledged. And I feel like if we get season 3, season 4, it's just gonna escalate from there. But I have a soft spot for season 1. I love season 1.
Yeah, season 1 is sort of like the pure version of it, where it's like these people like are just sort of trying to make friends. They're people like Shubham, who is probably like America's sweetheart of the season. Joey, who ends up. I'm gonna throw the spoiler on here if you've not seen season 1, and it'll also apply for season 2 coverage here. But let me get that one more bumper over. So anyway, our season 1 winner, Joey, who for you first up is like, oh, typical Jersey Shore guy, like he's such a D-bag, and then he ends up being one of the nicest guys in the show. He has a really sweet romance with Miranda. It's definitely a fun ride with him. But season 2, these people came to play.
Oh my God, they did. And you know who I found on social media?
Oh,
Courtney on TikTok.
Oh, he's got a TikTok?
He's got a TikTok. And I don't know if you knew this and you just had this in your back pocket, but do you know where they filmed The Circle?
It's in the UK.
I didn't know that. So you had it in your back pocket. I knew it. Mike knows everything, folks. You heard it here first. But I didn't know that they filmed it in the UK.
Yeah, because the show originally came from the UK. They've been doing it over there for a few years, and the building's set up over there. So they just shoot establishing shots, make you think, oh, maybe he's in Chicago, maybe somewhere else. But no, it's in the UK. It's trying to hide the fact that they're not in America.
Yeah, I didn't know that because I was like, oh wow, I can't believe Chloe came over here from the UK. I follow Courtney on TikTok now, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just an idiot because you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, so let's get into some of these highlights from season 2 because the first 12 episodes are out. They dropped in batches of 4 every Wednesday. They say the finale is going to drop this Wednesday, so you will be able to see that and have some thoughts and see who's going to win this whole thing. You have time to binge all 12 like Sam did.
Yes, I binged it very fast.
Yeah, and I think it's been a lot of interesting stuff here because I think the season 2, more strategy and more successful catfishes. Those are 2 big things I noticed right off the bat.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a million catfishes, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of very good catfishes, a couple of very bad catfishes. I mean, start with the good ones. I mean, start with Trevor, who is basically in real life, Trevor's wife, Delisha.
Yeah.
And she has done a very good job sort of passing herself off as this like single dad from the Bronx, and she got a good job sort of coming off as a man on the app, and comes out to the point where like I just love watching Trevor work, and it feels so bad for Chloe when she had her heart shattered when she realized that Trevor is not an actual dude.
Yeah,
I feel bad for that, but like Trevor's a very, very good catfish.
He's a really good catfish, and I feel like because like River's a catfish too. I feel like they just like take from things from real life and they just like insert it and they do feel for everybody else. And I feel like that's what makes a good catfish. They're not in it to be selfish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they actually care. So they put their own intimate details in there. And that's why they like work well as catfishes.
Yeah. The best catfish is River too. It's like, these are based on like, yeah, it's like a different persona, but like it's based on something, whether it's like you or somebody you know very well, you can sell it very well if you're doing that. If you're one of the bad catfishes, you are just sort of being generic, not having many details in there. And I got two great examples of that. I mean, like Emily, played by Jack, basically played like the basic boring bee as like rosé all day, blah, blah, blah. And like just completely whiffed. And one key point we'll get to there. And the Lance Bass of it all was so funny.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know why they did it. They did it for clout, but no one would ever believe that Lance Bass would come on the circle. No way in hell.
Well, I know like Lance Bass loves reality shows. I know Lance Bass actually is a Big Brother fan. So like, I know like Lance Bass, I could see him doing this.
But not the circle though. It's just like, it's not well known. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and you're supposed to be playing as each other. I don't know. I just feel like it's not Lance Bass style. As an NSYNC fan, I feel like it's not Lance Bass's style.
I mean, I could see them saying to go into Lance Bass saying, hey, we'll give you like here's your appearance fee to come on here, help boost the show a little bit. I know this will be fun for you. And then like you win, you can donate to charity. I could see maybe Lance doing it that angle, but the Lance Bass character is played by his longtime assistant, Lisa, was just done so terribly. Someone's supposed to know all what Lance Bass is. I just couldn't believe how bad she was.
Like, I feel like her answers were so bad. And I loved how Kat, like RIP, love Kat. I know she didn't die, but you know what I mean? But like, I just like thought it was great. She's like, I want to know what he wore for the show. Regardless, no way there was like a pop star who knew what he wore every single time. I mean, what do I know? I'm a nobody. But like, I don't know. Some of her answers were like just, and I feel like she just is never there.
Yeah.
She was never in any conversations anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the great things when Lance first joins the circle, he replaced the first player who's blocked RIP Bryant, who was too pure for the show. He was like
poor Bryant.
Bryant would have been great on season 1 of the circle. Bryant would have fit right in with that group.
But then I feel like he'd be a rival to Shuby, and I would personally take offense to that.
Yeah, well, anyway, Lance comes in when Bryant gets blocked, and they start talking to Lance like, oh, is this really you? And they ask him, I think Tara Alicia asks him, like, why are you here? Like, what are you going to do with the money if you win? And the response that Lisa comes up with is, I'm starting an NSYNC reunion tour. I'm like, that's a terrible answer. Like, you cannot be saying that. Like, when you are worth like however many millions of dollars, like, I'm coming here to win $100,000 to start my own reunion tour.
Yeah, that and Justin Timberlake would never go for that.
No, absolutely not. Like, $100,000 is not enough to make Justin Timberlake sneeze.
Oh, exactly.
So those two were the least successful catfishes. They get blocked and like a double boo, but well, they end up being a successful catfish of their own, and they get a twist. They end up staying in the game as a new player where they're working together to create a John, who is a 64-year-old psychic, who they actually do a good job with him because Jack bases off his grandfather, and they have details like, oh, like he's got kids, he's married to his husband Terry for 38 years. He does improv, all that great stuff. And it's like, that's the difference, because if you can, spit facts, have a story you're telling, and have something you're basing on, that works. If you're just, trying to pretend that like you're a girl, it doesn't work if you can't like have any details.
Yeah. And then I feel like if people say like, because he's like pretending to be, he also like moonlights as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like no one's going to question Santa.
No, it's a very good catfish. The reason why John made the finals.
Exactly, which I'm kind of annoyed about, but that's a different story.
That's a format of the show issue where, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like even like last season, like the people who showed up late, it's just like, I don't want you to win. You haven't been like here the entire time. You've been here for like a couple of days, not like a couple weeks.
Yeah, so to reset for people who have not watched the show starts out, they put the first 8 people in the circle. As people get eliminated, they start adding more in to sort of keep the show going. So like they put their best 8 out first usually, then they start to fill in with others where in season 1, they brought somebody in, I think like in the last batch of episodes, and like episode 9, he was supposed, and he basically had a 1 in 6 shot winning the whole thing, and we barely get to know this person.
Yeah, the what's his name with
Edmund's mom.
Yeah, it's Mitchell's brother.
Yeah. Yeah, so like they fix this season a bit because the last really new people we get show up in the beginning of the second batch in Kat and Mitchell, and then we get the John creation being 2 people who got blocked. So I think they did a better job, or at least care about everybody who's there at that point.
Yeah, I'm just really interested to see because they're gonna have the whole dinner together.
Yeah,
they're gonna think of Lisa and John.
Yeah.
Also, I hope John wears a Jacksonville Jaguars jersey to dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. So I also think the relationships formed are fun in this show. I think there's so many interesting dynamics here. I think the big one that started when that told me the season was different was the rise and fall of Savannah and Tara Alicia, the first 2 influencers of the season. And the influencers, obviously, you rate each other. The top 2 basically have the power to kick someone out of the show. They were in an alliance. They're working together, and then they get up there. They can't agree on who to block, and then they have this big, nasty like fight over the circle app, and then they're both gone. The next 2 blockings. It's like it was just spectacular seeing them. Just like I thought both of them could win when they started the show, and then they just imploded spectacularly.
Yeah, I really did too. I thought they were big voices in the house and everything, but you know what? Like they were like being annoying. So it's just like they're the only 2 causing problems. So then when they both left, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not that surprised about it. Nobody else wants to hear them bicker.
No, it was pretty nuts seeing how fast they fell. I also want to touch on Chloe because Chloe is from another Netflix property. She's from Too Hot to Handle. John Stenko has watched the show. He has not tuned into the circle yet to see what Chloe's up to, but I feel like she's been a lot of fun.
She's funny. I don't know like what is about her. I now want to watch Too Hot to Handle because of Chloe.
Yeah.
She's just silly. And she just is like, my favorite is like I cried laughing when she was like sweeping dirt or like garbage like under the rug.
Yeah.
It's just like it was just like, what are you doing? Like, and just watching all of them cook is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all funny, and Chloe's just naive. And like, I think that makes her endearing in a lot of ways because like she's only 21. You think like, if from what I gather, if you watch her on Too Hot to Handle, she was a complete ditz. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait,
so like,
please tell me though, every time you watch like more than like 2 episodes in a row or whatever, because like I binged everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like cooking food or like I'm about to leave and I'm like circle message. Like every time I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, all right, circle message, Mike. Yeah, of course, like I'll like Monday works for us for a podcast. It's just like so messes with my head. I was like watching to catch up the last 5 minutes, spoiler alert. To make sure I was like, let me make sure I'm up to date on all the episodes. And I'm like, circle message, let's face it, whatever. Like, it's just so funny. Like, imagine if, like, because I always catch myself talking about that now. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, I feel like this season has picked up more steam in the pop culture circle. I feel like it was not as big a deal season 1. I feel like now more people are watching it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm really upset because you told me to watch this like a year ago. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And then you're like, oh, season 2. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll totally watch it. And I did. I'm like, I'm so mad I didn't listen to Mike sooner because it was like the first season was like my all-time favorite. Like, yeah, I like the second season and all, but like first season was so cute. Like, it was just like so adorable.
Yeah, it was definitely a very fun season. This season has been, I see the evolution of the game itself. It's like now there's more strategy where people are trying to work together and they're trying to form bonds with people, sort of get themselves further in the circle. And I think one of the best examples of this is like Courtney and River. Courtney's himself. River is an author named Lee who's playing as a 24-year-old named River. And
we love Lee though, right? I hope you like Lee.
Yeah, Lee at the beginning was like 2-1 though, because his whole thing was River's coming off a breakup, so he has to flirt. And he just hung on that 2-1. But like River is probably playing the best everybody in there because like in the last round, he ended up being like the super secret influencer where he got picked number 1 and got to block somebody by himself. And River does a good job just staying out of the mess and has a good bond with Courtney where like Courtney's sort of like the bigger target of the two. So like people go after Courtney for him.
Yeah, but like, tell me how cute it was like when they first go home and then like Lee's like crying. He's like, I'm so sorry to see him go. I'm like, I love this guy. Like he's so sweet. Yeah,
Lee is great. I love watching Lee work in here because Lee is like so you could tell there's a lot of River in him, like when he's like talking to these people, and like he's very genuine with like how he wants to be. And that's why the catfish works, because it really is just him and a younger person's like pictures.
Yeah, and it's like what's his name from last season?
Yeah.
Like they really embody who their catfish is.
Yeah, it was like Seaburn last season because it was his girlfriend. So
yes, and but like they were just being themselves.
yeah.
So it was just like so interesting. It's just like it sucks that they thought that they had to be somebody else to be liked and kept on. So it's just like such an interesting take on today's social media society, like, you know, the whole social aspect of it.
Yeah, I think they're a lot of fun. I do think also the Chloe Trevor romance, I think is so fun because
it's so funny.
It's so funny because like Chloe in the span of the show was filmed for about like 2 weeks. It's been about like 7 days. He's like falling head over heels for the persona of Trevor.
Oh my God. And he's just a girl from the Bronx. Like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She's playing as her husband. And like, she's admitted to, she's like, I feel bad leading Chloe on, but it is a game. I have to try and like keep myself here. And like, I'm looking forward to in the finale. They never season 1, they had a dinner where the final 5 players meet and find out who they look like in like face to face. And one of the big shocks was last season when Seaburn showed up as Rebecca and Shuby had a big bond with Rebecca. So that broke his heart. This is going to be the big one where I'm sure they're going to have Trevor show up last and leave Chloe just sitting there like getting there with the mouth jaw on the floor. I'm waiting for that reaction.
I know, but it's like nice because like she was just so kind. She's like, you know what I mean? Because like I feel like that was a genuine like reaction when she felt bad that she was like leading her on, but she's just like, I have to do this for my daughter. I have to do this for my family. So, but she's funny too. I thought she was gonna get given away by the big Chicago 3.
Yeah.
For the trivia question. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's got to get this. This is so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things that you brought up, the games, because what they do with these games is they sort of use these as opportunities to like test people, to like expose like cracks in alliances and expose flaws in the catfishes and sort of test like your personas and see what you want to reveal and what you don't. And 2 of them are great. Like Trevor passed his catfish test where he's on a trivia game. He had to identify the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman trio, where as Trevor should know that, like,
anybody should know that, honestly.
Yeah, but if you're playing as Trevor, who's wearing a Yankee hat in his profile picture, you should know who Michael Jordan's teammates are. So,
yeah.
Luckily, Trevor had notes like prepared about key sports facts, so she's able to figure it out. The one that I want to get to, I think was a lot of fun, was my favorite challenge was the mannequin challenge.
Oh my God, that was so hard to watch.
Yeah, it was a crossover with Queer Eye from the Straight Guy. So I forget which. You remember who was the guy from Queer Eye who was there?
Jonathan Van Ness.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. So Jonathan Van Ness is there. It says, "Hey, I'll give you a mannequin. I want you to make a mannequin that looks like you." So of course, Jack, as Emily, has no idea how to do makeup, and the mannequin is so terrible it instantly exposes the Jack's catfish.
Oh my God, that killed me. I was like, oh my God, this guy's getting a shot down, and then for a hot minute, he's like, no, I got it. We're good. I'm like, there's no way in any universe you're saved in any kind of like any possibility on this planet you're saved.
And the worst part was like Jonathan was dragging Emily, who was Jack's persona, for like the makeup. I was like, oh my God, honey, this is so terrible.
Oh my God. It was god awful. And like also Lance Bass's too, because like Lance would know how to put on his own makeup.
Yeah, and like Jonathan also is friends with the real Lance Bass, so I don't think he was in on the joke that Lance was not actually there. He's like, Lance, I know when you get your haircuts, you tell them how to do your hair, so you should know like how to style the mannequin's hair.
Because then you would think like maybe they would just do something like crazy stupid, like out of the blue, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like maybe just like do a different type of like wig just to like throw them off the scent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that would be my strategy if I didn't know how to do. Well, I actually can't do makeup, but I would be screwed because people think I would be a catfish. So that was me. That's all I thought about while watching that. I'd be like, I don't know how to do makeup.
Yeah, I mean, like, also, Emily does a terrible job, like explaining why it's bad. You can't say like, oh, like I forget what the main thing is that he forgot to put on. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like all the foundation and
Oh, that's
like
right. The foundation. He's like, I forgot to put the foundation. Like I dropped on the floor. It broke. I got stuck. So I couldn't make an excuse up or anything. Just like, yeah.
that and when he was like trying to explain the makeup, they're like, that's not a real makeup brand, buddy. Like
Yeah.
it was so funny.
Yeah. This was another one of the games. This is also great where they had anonymous Q&As where you got to at another player and ask them questions. And Mitchell, who is the brother of Ed and his mom and the son of the mom from season 1, he gets the right. It's like, hey, Emily, what are your 5 favorite makeup brands? And then Jack is in there scrambling because he's looking at the bottles that came with his supplies, trying to get one. He comes up with, I think, Maybelline, I think Renee, sure. And then he says Collection Co. I'm like, that's just so made up.
Oh my God, that was so funny. I love that. Like, I mean, it definitely like production wise, they like were gonna pull them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had a whole idea for them. Like think about it, like unfun ways of watching reality TV.
Yeah.
But still sitting through that was so funny.
Yeah, I think it's been a very fun season. So who's been your favorite player so far? Who have you enjoyed?
Since the beginning,
Yeah.
hands down, Courtney's been my favorite. I
Yeah.
like Kat, of course.
Yeah.
But like I really grown to love River, but still, hands down, Courtney's my favorite, and I just really hope he wins. I have a feeling he like doesn't, but I still hope he really wins.
Yeah, I love Courtney. Courtney is like always has he cracking up whenever he's on the screen. He's so funny. I will say though, I love watching Trevor work because Trevor is probably one of the most effective catfish I could ever imagine.
Yes, and like she does such a good job, and like like represent New York and everything. So like let's go. Like if she wins, I'm gonna be so freaking proud. Yeah. But like I don't know. I just like I don't know. I'm just nervous like how they're gonna react to each other.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think in terms of the finale comes out this Wednesday. What happens is obviously they rate each other again. Whoever has the highest rating in the final 5 ends up winning the $100,000. And they walk in the rings and they have that dinner. Then they have a reunion show where the host, Michelle Buteau, who narrates, she's going to reveal the results and catch up on players in the season. So I think the thing here is interesting is the strategy of it, because season 1 is sort of like, okay, like they're a little bit sort of like, okay, we're not going to rate Shuby too high. That's why he lost to Joey at the end. Mm-hmm. I think these people are going to be like so calculated about how they're going to rate each other, try and give themselves the best chance of the win.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like it's going to be anybody's game.
Yeah. Like, I think, honestly, it's like, I don't think Courtney can win. I'd love to see him win. I don't think he can. I think it's going to be River sneaks it out. I feel like people are going to be too wary of Chloe being popular. I might drop her a little bit. I think River's going to sneak it out.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about me that thinks Trevor is going to win because, I don't know, there's just something about him that he plays under the rug, but also like in everybody's like pockets specifically that they don't know about. So I feel like he's just a very likable guy. And then he plays like the single dad card so much that I feel like he might actually like pull through.
Yeah. The one thing I'm watching here I think is interesting is the John persona, which is Jack and Lisa are 2 eliminated catfish.
And I'm going to be so pissed because that's like so dumb.
Yeah, but the thing is though, people try and attack it strategically, the rating system. I could see a lot of things like, I'll put John second because John is not going to do well. And then all of a sudden John ends up winning because he's got the highest average.
That'd be so funny. But then like that sucks because they have to split it with 2 people. So it's just like, why even bother?
At the same time, they should have been out of the show. So I don't think they'll complain if they're getting $50,000 each.
No, that's so true. It's just like part of like, viewer wise, I'm like, well, I just want one person to win, not those 2 numbskulls.
No, I will say though, like,
give it to Lance Bass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is she going to do with it?
That'll be fair. If they win, Jack deserves most of that money because I don't know what Lisa has.
She doesn't do anything. Like, she's probably a lovely human being. Please don't get me wrong. I feel like I would love to sit down and have coffee with her.
Yeah.
Literally just to see like how it is to like be the personal assistant to Lance Bass. But you're right. Like, I don't feel like she contributes as much. But I know that we only get the production side, of what we see is the production side. Maybe just John says the most outrageous shit,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be fun to see what happens. Again, the finale on Wednesday on Netflix. You can watch both seasons on there. Sam, thanks for all the time and coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. You know how I love coming on your podcast.
Yeah, I do. And before I let you go, how do you follow on social media? What some of the stuff you're up to?
Well, Twitter, SDEROS6, and then on Instagram on SDerosa175. I will probably accept you. I'm on private, but am I really that private? No.
All right. Good to know. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for having me, Mike.